Ryan Grant fumbled twice, and the Seahawks had a 14-0 lead 4 minutes in, but couldn't do anything after that. Green Bay moves on to the NFC title game with a 42-20 win, scoring on 6 consecutive drives after the initial 2 fumbles, and they're in the NFC Championship game for the first time since the '97 season. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, along with NFL.com's Pat Kirwan and CBS Sports' Charley Casserly. Glad to be with you on the Subway postgame show after the NFC divisional game for Saturday afternoon. Charlie, you look at this game, Ryan Grant certainly made up for the first 2 fumbles on the first 3 plays by setting a Packers franchise record for rushing yards in a single game. Why was Green Bay able to be so dominant through 3 quarters? Well,
I think you look at their offensive line play versus the defensive line play of Seattle. Seattle relies upon quickness and speed in the defensive line. When you get onto a field with snow, hey, it becomes a slug match. It becomes nothing more than being physical, one-on-one. The speed and quickness of Seattle totally negated by the snow. Give Green Bay credit, big physical line up front. Ryan Grant got better and better the whole season, excelled today, but they won it up front with their offensive line, blocking the defensive line of Seattle.
And Charlie thought, before we did this, that the weather certainly had a factor, but you didn't think it had as much of a factor?
Well, I thought, a lot of people see snow and they think, uh-oh, there goes your game plan, but as Danny Marino says, if it's snowing, I'm throwing. And so there were opportunities to throw the football. Ryan Grant, as Charlie said, terrific day, line of scrimmage control there. But you look at the other side, snowy day, and Seattle couldn't run the ball at all. And you look at Morris and Sean Alexander, and one of those guys makes a lot of money, 12 carries, 19 yards. Not very good. So they never could establish a run. Finished up with 28 yards rushing. The whole thing's on Hasselbeck's shoulders, and I thought you saw him come and unravel a little bit.
Yeah, he did. I mean, you saw Matt Hasselbeck screaming at guys, screaming at officials all game long. And we know he's a competitive guy, but it didn't seem like he was composed after Green Bay took that 21-14 lead. Charlie, it just seemed like he kind of came undone a little bit.
Well, a little bit there. But the other thing about the Green Bay defensive line, what they like is to have play with big four big physical guys up front. They don't like the little type defensive ends. Again, we got into a physical mismatch here. Seattle is a finesse running team. They want to throw first and run second. Hey, they couldn't move them off the ball today.
No, they certainly couldn't. On the other side here, Pat, Green Bay moving forward. You got a team that with Brett Favre that certainly looked as good as Brett Favre has looked in a long time, as he has all season. A team we know that can run the football going forward. Who would they rather see, the Giants? Or would
they'd love to get the Giants at home, get them back at Lambeau Field. I think that's their preference if they got that. But I don't think they're afraid to go to Dallas. We're going to hear all the numbers that Brett's never won in Dallas. But what does he have and why should he be excited? He's got a defense that plays very well. His matchup corners showed us today. They can cover receivers. They were knocking balls down, making great plays on the ball. And he's got a running game. He's got balance. He's got a lot of good young receivers. Got a tight end. Even Bubba Franks got in the act today. Yep. So he's got plenty going on to take on either one of these teams for the championship.
You talked about the corners and the defense giving up a total of 200 yards in this game.
Right.
I mean, the defense was phenomenal. Seattle may have scored 20 points, but 7 of those was on 1 yard on the first fumble. So.
I got to add one thing to Mike McCarthy and the job he did, because when they got down 14-0, we've seen Brett Favre unravel then and start taking high-risk plays, trying to do things. He did not do that today. He came out, he went 6 for 6 at 14-0. Hitting small, shallow crossing routes just like Coach McCarthy had hoped he would do. I think Brett's come a long way under Mike.
And I liked it one part of this game, too, in the third quarter. The Packers were 6 of 6 on third downs. I mean, that's big as well. Seattle couldn't get off the football field. Right. Charlie, as a former GM, put yourself into Seattle's shoes now in this offseason. Same position they were last year, losing in the divisional round to a team from the NFC North. Where do you go in the offseason?
Well, I first of all, don't panic here. You got a good football team. And you're going to, first thing, let's go back and see we got to win our division. But I think the things they would want to look at is the running back position. They could really use Sean Alexander of 2 years ago. That guy's not coming back. That would help another dimension there. I think they could use help at tight end. Marcus Pollard is older there. They don't have that. Over on the defensive line, I still think they could use size inside a tackle. Marcus Tubbs was lost for the season. When I asked them, was that a big loss, they said no. I still think that big guy inside, the physical run stopper, would certainly help them. They've got to get Marcus Trufant signed. He's a free agent, but they'll franchise him. He's not going anywhere.
Pat, you're all over the salary cap year in, year out. Can they afford to just cut Sean Alexander?
I think there'll be some money in the back end that they'd have to worry about, and I don't know what you're going to do with him, because I agree with Charlie. He is not the player you paid. Now it looks like you paid for a guy for what he did in the past, not what he's able to produce right now. I would be struggling with the situation at running back if I was Seattle right now.
All right, well,
first, they got to get their head coach to stay.
Well, yeah, that's the other question, and we'll find out because there are multiple reports. Some saying Mike Holmgren will be there, some saying he won't. we'll see how it. Well, basically, that just says that there is no report because there's everything
Cancel
up in the air.
both.
For plenty more on what Seattle's got to do, of course, check that out on CBSSports.com and all the rest of the information on this game and the rest of the divisional games throughout the weekend. Be sure to stay with CBSSports.com and watch everything else on the CBS Audience Network. For NFL.com's Pat Kirwan and CBS Sports' Charley Casserly, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care.